Hello students. Hello students. Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome you all in this lecture of Electrical Machine 1. Subject code is EE205 and we are at the end of the unit number 3. Topic is DC machines. So what we are going to study basically, this is the last lecture of this unit number 3. And in this I want to summarize the thing, basically the basics of DC machine, fundamentals of DC machines, and which type of winding we have. Basically all the process we have studied. For example, if I'm talking about the unit number 1, though in unit number 1 we have studied about the basic, that is the construction. Basically we can say machine construction, but if I'm talking about the unit number 1, we basically not talk about the magnetic thing. Magnetic thing means I'm talking about magnetic field and magnetic circuits. So if I'm talking about the magnetic field, so we having magnetic field, though we having the magnetic circuit both working, means we talked a lot about the flux density, that is B, and P is your max, basically flux density. So before this, we understand there are two types of magnet. One is the permanent magnet, another one is the electromagnet. If I'm talking about the permanent magnet, though these permanent magnet always having the persisting magnetic field, means always we will get the magnetic field in that one, that is B. We can say we always find magnetic flux lines. Okay, but if I am talking the electromagnets, so as per the Biot-Savart, if we flow the current around the coil, then after flowing the current, what happens? In the surround we found a magnetic field. Okay, so that magnetic field is basically dependent on the turns of a coil, because if I am giving a current, if I am flowing a current in a coil, then what happens? That the coil meets, that current meets with the turns of that coil. So we can say current is ampere and turns and turns, so we can say ampere, AP in short form. So ampere turns always represent MMF, because ampere turn means magnetomotive force. And we having the magnetic field, though we having the reluctance in that field. So MMF by reluctance we always get flux. So flux represent by the MMF per, we can say MMF per reluctance. Okay, so that is the thing. Now what is MMF? I earlier told you that is magnetomotive force. Now what is reluctance? So reluctance is the property of magnetic material which opposes the creation of flux. So that is the analogy between electrical. So we can say in electrical field, if I am talking about current, then magnetic field always talk about magnetic flux lines. In a magnetic field we always talk about reluctance, but in electrical field we say that it is a resistance. Now if I'm talking about the MMF, magnetomotive force in plug in field, in magnetic field we always called as electromotive force, and as per my view electron motion force in electric. Okay, now in magnetic field we use the thing that is, we can say, the density B. We use conductivity here in the electric. So we having so many things. Though we can say it is the analogy between electrical field and magnetic field. So we can generate electrical field with the help of magnetic field, and we can generate magnetic field with the help of electrical. So if I want to generate magnetic field with the help of electrical field, so I need a coil, means a turns. So if I am having a turns in a coil, if I am having what turns in a coil, it means, it means what, my dear student? We can convert MMF, that is magnetomotive force, and we having the reluctance. That means I am getting the flux. That is the unit is Weber. Weber. Okay. And what is flux density? Flux density is the, basically is the ratio of flux to area. Means Weber per meter square. Area means length into breadth. So area square, so we can say meter square, sorry, and area is there, so what we can write, that B is equals to pi by A, and A is equals to phi by B, and phi is equals to A into B, area into density, that is flux density. Flux density always represent like this, that how much flux we have, how much the density of flux have, how much the flux dense in that part. Okay, so I hope you understand what I want to tell you basically. So that is the density. Now if I'm talking about the intensity, intensity is basically the mmf per length. That is ampere turn. 80 is the unit of mmf, and turn means what? Tons, that is ampere turn, and length is meter. So ampere turn per meter is the basically intensity. Okay, then one part is there, that is permeability. Permeability is equals to B is equals to mu H, and mu is equals to B upon H. So density upon intensity ratio always give by the permeability, and permeability is basically the we can say how much flux we can generate, how much that magnetic field is capable to generate, to create, to manufacture, to basically make flux for it. That is represented by permeability. So magnetic field or magnetic material always having the high permeability. If I'm talking about the low permeability, so it means nothing. Okay, so that is the permeability. Now this is all about the terms we have studied in the magnetic circuit field. And if I'm talking about the magnetic circuit, though we having two types of magnetic circuit, one is the series, another one is the parallel. One is the series, another one having the parallel. So in series we having always same flux, like similar to your series electrical circuit. So if I'm talking about series electrical circuit, so in the series electrical circuit basically we having always same current but voltage divided. So similar to that, in the magnetic field flux remains same. But if I'm talking about the parallel magnetic field, so similar to that electrical field, in electrical parallel means we having the different current but same voltage. So total sum of current will getting the total current, means higher value of current. So that is similar to the parallel magnetic field having the parallel flux, means different flux lines. Okay, so this is, these all are about the types of magnetic circuits. Then we have studied about the BH curve. Now BH curve is basically tells you about the density and intensity ratio. And if I'm talking about the ferromagnetic materials, now we can convert electromagnet with the help of Biot-Savart law. So if I'm talking about the Biot-Savart law and I'm having a coil, the coil having a turns that represented by L. But my dear student, if I want that coil on a core, that core basically represent as a magnetic core, and these magnetic core is basically made up of ferromagnetic material. And what are the ferromagnetic materials we have? We having iron, nickel, cobalt. Okay, alloys, metal alloys we can say, sheet, steel sheet alloy, silicon contained steel sheet we can use. So these are, with the help of these we can make what? We can make electromagnet. Okay, so what happens if I'm talking about the ferromagnetic material? Though in the ferromagnetic material, all the ions which already present in the ferromagnetic material, they are scattered. They are scattered. If I'm giving supply to them, if I'm giving supply, or if I apply electrical supply to them, what will happen? They basically moved and try to come along with each other. They make a group along each other, means a simple way we can say orientation. They orientate in a simple manner, in a simple way. So they orientated. Okay, and means we can say we having what? The starting of current, then we having the knee point, then we having the magnetization start, then we having the saturation also. They saturate means magnetic flux which we want, we are getting, that amount. But if I apply supply more than it, then what happens? They came out from the saturation region, basically the equilibrium state. They come into the reversal of magnetism, that is demagnetization. That is also called as BH curve, means hysteresis curve. So iron, cast iron, because iron we use for the small machines, so that is the basic ferromagnetic material. Nowadays we are also using for small type of machines, small HP motors and small watt generators, basically. But uh, if I'm talking about the iron piece, though it is not capable to all, so we use steel sheet. Iron will get you the 1.6 value, but if I'm talking the BH curve, 1.6 we get from 1.4 points, 1.4 something. You can say 1.48 we are getting from steel. But if I'm using steel sheet, I'm getting 1.64 something. So it is higher. So steel sheet we are using for heavy duty or heavy loaded machines. Okay. Then we will studied about so many electromagnetic interaction or basically the electromagnetic laws. That is the Biot-Savart law first, then we have the Ampere-Circuitor law, then we have the force law. That is whenever there is a current conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Then we have the Faraday's law of an electromagnetic induction. So if I am talking about the Faraday law of electromagnetic induction means whenever there is a change in flux linkage, then there will be induced EMF. There will be some induced EMF in it, and that EMF is also known as induced EMF. And if it is a closed circuit, then current will flow. Then that current is known as induced current. So induced EMF and induced current both we have. Okay, induced current and induced voltage both we have in the basically Faraday law. And second law says, that is the first law. Second law says you the induced EMF, the magnitude of induced or EMF is proportional to the flux linkage variation. How much flux linkage are vary? Compared to that, the proportional to that, we are getting the EMF. That is okay. So these are all laws. Then in the unit number 2, we have studied about the electromagnetic force and torque. Now electromagnetic force is given by what? Given by the electromagnetic interaction. That states what? Whenever there is a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. And if force is there, though we having the displacement, if I am pushing like this, so this thing will push like this. So initial was there, but final was there. So we can say the deflection. So that force into displacement or deflection, we can say torque is happening. So that is known as electromagnetic torque. So we having electromagnetic force and we having electromagnetic torque both. But first we having the force that is perpendicular to loop. If it is parallel, no force will be there. If it is perpendicular to B and I, that is current and charges, then we having the force. And if force is applicable, then we having the torque. We can represent on a paper also. Okay. Then we studied about electromagnetic. We can say the electromagnetic conversion. So in electromagnetic conversion, we can convert electrical power into mechanical and mechanical power into electrical. So the best suitable example is that whenever there is a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, the experience of force. So that's force giving you the torque, and due to the torque, that will start rotating. So that is the mechanical method. Giving electrical, taking mechanical output. Giving electrical, taking mechanical output. That is the second Faraday law of an electromagnetic induction. If I am varying the flux line, moving the flux line, getting the electrical. So mechanical movement input, getting electrical output. Mechanical movement input, getting electrical output. Voltage, current, power, energy, torque, speed, rotation, revolution. We are getting. So these are two things we can do. So we have electromechanical energy conversion. So I hope you understand about these two basics, electromechanical energy conversion. But without the magnetic circuit, or we can say the coupling circuit, we can't do the electromechanical energy conversion. So we can realize with the relay. I gave you an example of relay. With the help of relay, we can identify if we give. So I think so in DC machines, we have already studied about the construction. So we are revising it in this lecture. Then types of winding, armature reaction, commutation. How can we improve that one? How can we remove the armature reactions? Types of winding we have, EMF equation, torque equation, voltage equation of the basically what we can say the motor. Because if I am talking about the I'm talking about Non-rotation, that is electrical. So electrical part is basically what we having the non-torque, it is EMF. I'm talking about the EMF, and if I'm talking about the torque, that means I'm talking about the motor. Okay, so this is the basically thing. And how flux generate, we have already studied in the magnetic flux line or magnetic field, that in a bar magnet, if I am in the bar magnet, and flux lines always attract the opposite poles. If I am putting the bar magnet upon the earth, so what happens, it always attract with the south pole of the earth. So the north pole is attracting to the south pole of the earth, and south pole is attracting to the north pole of the earth. So it is, how can we represent this thing, how can we basically identify this thing. So it is very easy to us for determine the bar magnet flux lines and identify the pole of the earth, because we are having the south pole and north pole of the earth. So that is we have basically. Okay, so this is the basically we have studied a lot of uh, in this lecture. Basically we are going to study about the basics again, and we are revising also. Why we are revising? Because they are most important for us. They are most important. Why they are most important? Because we are going to start the unit number 4. So in unit number 4, again we are going to study that motor and generator, but a specified motor and generator. In this we have studied about the basics of DC machines, that is action, whatever the things, reactions, process we have, torque and electrification we have. But from the unit number, basically we can say the unit number 4, we are going to study the types of DC machine, how they work, what are the characteristic of them, how they work basically, how it take place. So these all we are going to study in the next lectures, we can say. Now in this lecture, what I want to tell you, basically my objective is this: means have the understand a student. I'm helping the student means you to understand about the basics of fundamentals. That is direct current DC machines. We can say short form DC machines fundamentals. Now generator action. If I'm talking about the generator action, when generator action, an EMF voltage is induced in a conductor if it moves through a magnet. What will happen? An EMF is induced in a conductor if it moves through a magnetic field. Means conductor is there, it moving through the magnetic field, it cutting the flux line. If it is cutting the flux line, what will happen? We are getting the induced EMF. That is also known as the, if EMF is there, then closed circuit will be there. If closed circuit is there, then what will happen? The current will flow. That current is also known as induced current. So we are having induced EMF and induced current. So an EMF voltage is induced in a current if it moves through a magnet. Okay. If I'm talking about the motor action, my dear students, a force is induced in a conductor that has a current going through it. A force is induced in a conductor that has a current going through it and placed in a magnet. Where it is placed? Placed in a magnet. Okay. So current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force, and if force is applying on this, then torque will take place. What will happen, my dear student? Torque will take place. And how torque will take place? Because torque is given by the expression that is F cross T. Force cross displacement. That is force cross having the displacement. So F cross T. I hope you understand. So we are getting this. So any DC machine can act either as a generator or as a motor. So any DC machine. If I'm talking about DC machine, though we having the same function. Same function means we can make generator to motor and motor to generator. And motor is basically converting for, is basically a conversion device which convert basically what, convert electrical power into magnetic power. Means rotation, revolution, torque. And if I'm talking about my dear student generator, the generator is the reciprocal or inverse of it. Means convert mechanical power into electrical power. Okay, means torque, speed, rotation, revolution, convert into voltage, power, current, energy. We can say. So that is your generator. And motor is what? Giving input, power, voltage, energy, current, converted into torque, speed, rotation, revolution. So I hope you understand. So any DC machine can act as either as a motor or generator. I hope you understand. Now, construction details of DC machine. Now, if I'm talking about, as I earlier told you, if I'm talking about the construction, so construction is similar to that. Basically, both machines having similar construction. Why the similar construction they have? Because I am already told you in this line, I the thing is written that is any DC machine can act either as a generator or as a. So if I am talking about this thing, my dear student, it means what? Any DC machine can act either as a generator or motor. Means we can convert motor to generator and generator to motor. Means if I am taking output from motor and giving input to the generator, okay, and I'm taking output of generator and giving to the input as a motor for a motor. So I'm taking a simple machine, but I'm giving electrical and taking mechanical output. Motor is there. If I'm giving motor and taking output electrical, then it is generator. So same conception. So I'm explaining one by one. Yoke. Yoke is basically what, my dear student. Yoke is a outermost shell, and it is basically the, we can say, mechanical. It gives the mechanical support to all components of machine. Okay, and it is basically the outermost periphery and outermost shell, the support, and it carries the flux also because it carries the basically field, means armature and stator, or field and armature, though it carries the flux also. Okay. Secondly, rotor. In DC machine, we called rotor as a armature. In DC machine, we always called rotor as a armature, but in AC machine, we always called as a rotor. But in DC machine, we called rotor as a armature. So what is rotor first? What is armature? Armature is a rotating part in DC machines. Okay, and why it is rotating? Because if I want mechanical output, so I need rotation, I need torque, so I need a armature. Okay, I'm talking about the stationary part. And why I'm taking the armature, my dear student? I want to rotate, gives mechanical, I have the armature. And I have to cut the flux to induce an EMF. Because there are two types of flux, static and dynamic. If I'm talking about the static EMF, that means the flux varies by its own value and give you the output as EMF as per Faraday. That is static. But if I'm talking about the dynamic, so dynamic is what? Dynamic is basically the dynamic, we can say what? Dynamic is the rotation. So if I am rotating something, if I'm do what? If I'm doing what? If I'm rotating something, is dynamic. If I'm not rotating, that is static. So rotating EMF and dynamic EMF is same. Static EMF or stationary EMF is same. So in stationary or static EMF, we have basically the variable nature of flux. So we can say AC by AC. So that, because we always say phi is proportional to the I. Phi is what, my dear student? Phi is the basically flux and I is the current. So flux is always proportional to the current. So current is of alternating nature, though flux is also of an alternating. If current is of that current nature, the flux will also of that current. So static and dynamic. So transformer, in transformer we always talk about the static, but in motor we always talk about the dynamic. So armature is a very important part. We use this. Okay. Now, if I am talking about the armature, later on what I am giving you the what is used in armature. Now third is your stator. That is, stator means the stationary part, and stationary part is also known as. So my dear student, basically I already told you, and we have studied in the unit number 1 and 2, that if we vary the magnetic flux, then there will be induced EMF. So variable thing is the armature. If I want to rotate and cut, that is armature. But I need that system which create magnetic flux, which gives you magnetic field, which gives you the flux line. the how can I do, in which manner I can do, my dear student. So that role, basically that type of role is playing by the field. That type of role is playing by the field, because field is playing an important role, and field is giving you the magnetic flux line. So magnetic flux line we can make with the by the two methods I earlier told you. That is, one is the permanent magnet, but it is can't affordable and in the huge amount, so we can't do this. So second method is very easy for us. That is field. We can say that is the electromagnets. That is what? The electromagnets. So if we having the electromagnets, my dear student, so what we have to do? Electromagnet we can make how? We can use Biot-Savart law. We can use what? Biot-Savart law. And if I am using Biot-Savart law, so it means if I am using Biot-Savart law, do I need a coil in which we having the turns? Okay. Then we having the core. That what we having? We having the core, and core is made up of ferromagnetic material. So that core is known as pole core in a field. Why it is called as a pole core? Now first see, field is there, that is the stationary part. Then we having the field electromagnets. What we having? The field electromagnets. Now how can we make the electromagnet, my dear student? We can make the electromagnets by using a ferromagnetic material core. In that core we can place or mount a winding on it, and if we give supply to that winding, what will happen? The flux will take place as per the Biot-Savart. So similar to that one, in field we used to make electromagnets. If I want to make electromagnets, mean in magnet we having two poles, always bipole, not single pole. It is, I am already told you in the previous lecture that every magnet having bipole, not single pole. So north and south we always having. So I have to make north and south poles. So how can we make one pole and two poles? I have to make, that is north and south pole. Though we need pole core. Pole core is what? Pole core is basically made up of ferromagnetic material. For small machine, cast iron, but for we can say the heavier machines we use steel sheets. Okay, and pole core we make to introduce the magnetic field, magnetic flux, and this pole core is basically laminated. Why we laminated? Because there is a eddy current loss. I earlier told you what is eddy current loss. Heavy current will flow, so eddy current loss is there. So if I want to remove that eddy current, so we make parallel paths. So we use varnish and make laminations. Between the lamination, we use varnish. So varnish is there. Okay, that is the pole. Then we are having the field winding. That is the pole winding. We can also say field pole winding. Now, why winding we are using, my dear student? Winding is playing an important role. Why it is playing an important role? Because if I place winding, that is why we can convert that winding into the flux as per Biot-Savart law. So I need winding. I need what, my dear student? I need winding. So if I am in the winding, that winding plays on a core, and if I give supply to that winding, that winding converts into the basically flux, and with the help of the core, the flux is spread. Okay, so that spreading done by the field electromagnet, that is pole core. Pole winding is basically playing an important role, convert the current into the flux, because inductance is there, turns are there, RMF is there, and the motive force. And that field coil is basically made by the basically one method that is known as former bond. That is known as what? Former bond. Former bond is basically what? If I want to place the armature, basically the field core or field pole in the shape of rectangle. So I take a former, or basically the we can say rectangular shape base, and if I place winding on it, then the winding will take place of rectangular. And with the help of this rectangular shape of winding, we can directly place that winding on a pole. So the winding takes shape of rectangular already. So that is known as former wound. Again, we having a former and we wound it. Now, if I'm talking about the winding, my dear student, the winding is made up of copper and aluminum. If I want to basically save the cost, the cheaper cost, we use aluminum. But if I want to do work for harder means for heavy machines, then we use what? We use copper. So every heavy machines use copper, and good machines are is basically of copper based winding, not aluminum based. Okay, so pole core understand, I think so, and pole winding also understand by you. And pole shoe. Now pole shoe is just like this. This is a pole, and pole shoe is like this. You can say it is a pole face also, but it is a pole shoe. Now, why it is used here? Pole shoe having the larger cross section area compared to the pole core. Why is it so? Because if I am talking about, my dear student, reluctance, so I gave you the analogy between reluctance and resistance. That reluctance is a magnetic material property, and resistance is the electrical material property. So same having the thing, but if I am talking about the resistance, so resistance is inversely proportional to the area. Means area is higher, resistance is lower. Area is lower, resistance is higher. So similar to that reluctance, if area is higher, reluctance is lower. And if reluctance is higher, then area is lower. So I am making the high area like this. So what happens? The flux will spread more compared to the pole core. If pole core is there, then spreading of the flux is limited. If I am using the pole shoe, then the flux spreading is higher, and basically reducing the reluctance. If I am reducing the reluctance, my dear student, it means I am increasing the flux creation, because reluctance is the property of magnetic material which opposes the creation of flux. I hope you understand about the field. We having field core, field binding, and pole shoe, and field pole core, field pole winding, and field pole shoe. Understand? This is the stator part, station part. Next, we having the armature. Now, first of all, armature is the rotating part. Though I need some that part which basically help to rotate. So that armature is mounted on a shaft, and shaft is basically made up of iron or steel in a form of rod which rotates. Which basically do what? Which basically rotates. And if I want to rotate, then I need a rod system. That rod is known as shaft. So on that shaft, we mount a basically like this. If having a shaft, then we mount like the rotor on it. The shaft like this, we mount rotor on it. So that is the shaft. Okay, and shaft helps in the rotation. Basically, do what? Helps in the rotation. Now armature. Armature is again an important part of DC machine. If armature is not there, my dear student, if armature is not there, then there will be no rotating part. And if there will be no rotating part, so there will be no mechanical output. So if I want mechanical output, I need rotation. And if I need electrical output, then I need again rotation. Because I am talking about dynamic as per the Faraday law of an electromagnetic motion. So armature playing an important role, okay, for the mechanical output or for the electrical output. So in armature, we do what? We basically make a core, ferromagnetic material again, core, and in that core we making a slot like this. We place winding in it like this, a parallel path. So parallel path is there like this. So we having the parallel path, we place winding in it like this. Okay, so armature winding we having two types, lap and wave. Later on I will tell you. So armature having the armature core, again lamination is there to reduce eddy current, and hysteresis loss if you want to reduce, then proper cross section and silicon content steel. That is reversal of magnetism, as I earlier told you. DH current. So in armature, we basically do this thing. We have the armature core, armature slots, and in that slot we place winding on it. That is armature winding. And armature is do what? Like this. For example, magnetic flux line we have. Now armature is rotate like this. So armature if rotate, then it cuts the flux like this. For example, this is the flux line which are getting from a field. Now armature rotate and cuts that flux. If it cuts the flux, what will happen? Induce EMF. Induce EMF. And if I am rotating like this, induce EMF is there, that is generator. And if I am give the current to that stator, means armature, providing the current. So current carrying conductor plays in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. And if force is there, then torque will develop, F cross D, it will start rotating. So both cases we need armature for motor and for generator. So why I'm placing the coil on it? Because we want to take out the current from armature in generator case, and we want to give current in the armature in the motor case. Make conductor. So if I want to make conductor, I need a winding. In generator, I want to take current from that conductor to the terminals, and in motor, I want to give the current to that conductors. So I need conductors, means winding that is made up of copper or aluminum. For heavy duty machine, we make copper, and two types of winding will happen. So what happens? This is the thing. It rotates, cut the flux, give the EMF, and that EMF carries by the conductor placed in an armature slot. That is winding. So that is the carry, means EMF is reduced as per the Faraday law of an electromagnetic induction in generator. Okay, means we are basically moving with the help of mechanical input, and it cuts the flux and give you the electrical output. So what happens? If electrical output we are getting, so the current will flow in the conductors of armature like this. Conductors means one turn having two conductors, one and two. One turn like one, two turn and two conductors. Though one turn consists of two conductors, though it carries the current, basically carries the current. It induced EMF generated. If it is a closed path, then carries the current. Now, one thing is there, if it carries the current, though it carries the current like this, means like this. We can say Fleming right hand rule, as I earlier told. So Fleming right hand rule, motion of the conductor in a magnetic field, induced EMF. Force, field, means flux rise, and induced EMF current. So all are perpendicular to each other. If it rotate like this, then the current direction changes. If it rotate like this, again current direction is changes. So we are getting bidirectional current. We are getting what? Bidirectional current. And if I am talking about the DC, that is direct current, my dear student. So in direct current, we are always getting what? Unidirectional. So direction current, direct basically current, basically unidirectional current. We want to convert from bidirection. We need another instrument. That is the main important instrument. That is your commutator. That is what? Commutator. Shaft I have already told you. Armature told you, and coil of armature I have told you. Commutator. Now commutator playing an important role. How it's playing an important role? Because commutator plays like this with the armature windings with copper lugs. It is made up of copper segment lugs. So what happens? They basically give you the output of resultant of these current. Resultant of these current. Bidirectional unidirectional means 5 is the inward, 4 is the outward. So 5 minus 4 we are getting 1. 5, 5, 10 we are getting. 5 plus 4, 9 we are getting. So 4 minus 1, 5 we are having minus 1. So many options we have. 5 plus 5, 10, 5 plus 4, 9, 4 plus 9, 5, 9. Okay, we can say, and 4 plus 5 we are having again 9. So we are having so many values we can do with the commutation, that is known as reversal of current commutation. We have already discussed this thing. So I'm repeating this basic. So commutator is playing an important role. Now commutator is there, which basically convert bidirectional current into unidirectional. Now I need another instrument which carries the current and gives to the terminal. Carries the current from the commutator and gives to the terminal. That is your brush. That is your what? Brush. So brushes are. And brushes are generally made up of copper, but we increase the commutation, reversal of current. We use what? We use carbon instead of graphite. Graphite is costly, carbon is cheap. So higher resistance. Understand about these all? The important parts are bearing. Without the bearing, we can't rotate the shaft, both sides, thick side. So for bearing, for the motion of shaft like this, not like this, we need bearings both side. So we use bearings. So I hope you understand about the construction. Now moving forward, this is a cross section view, North Pole and South Pole. This is the field coil. This is the pole core. This is the pole shoe, a pole face, higher cross section. It is the yoke. This is the legs we place in here, giving the eye bolt. Through the eye bolt, we can easily carry. Can carry with the help of crane also. Okay. Now this is the armature. Armature conductor showing here means coil. Okay. Then we have the armature core, the middle one. It is of cylindrical structure mounted on a shaft. So this is the shaft. Okay, then this winding is connected with the commutator lugs or bit of copper and commutator segment, and at this segment we having two poles there, we are using two brushes, positive and negative, you can say. If four poles, then we use four brushes. So two brushes are there made up of carbon instead of copper and graphite. So I hope you understand about the basic which I gave you the basically gave you the explanation. Now moving forward, it is again a practice. It is a yoke like this. It is a shaft rod. It is the brushes. These are the lugs commutator. This is the armature conductors. Field winding plays on this. This is the field winding. This is the pole field poles, and the larger one is the pole shaft. Here in the shaft, this is a commutator, and this winding is connected with the armature conductors coil. This is the feed through which we can bear it and we can place on the foundation. So this is the practical design. Now DC machine construction. Now DC machine construction is like look like this. We having the armature core, slots are there. See this. This is the coil placed in this manner. Bearings. I already told you bearings. This is the coil commutator interconnection. How can we interconnect? Now the insulation between segments with the mica or varnish we can say. Now commutator copper segment is there. Okay. Then we have the coil insulations. We can use mica varnish, and we can say so many things we can use. Paper insulation also. Generally we use varnish. So insulation between the segments. So it is a rotor. What is it? It is a rotor. That is armature. Next, DC machine construction. So see, this is basically the rotor. Then we will the spring brush holder. This one is the brush. See, this one the brush, but I have used the heavy machine. So the brush is made up of graphite. Either it is made up of copper or carbon. So we use carbon because we want to improve the commutation. Okay. I hope you understand. Now armature windings. This is about the construction. Now armature windings. Why I'm talking about this armature winding, my dear student? Because I want to know the types of winding which we use. So armature winding is classified into two types. One is the lap, another one is the wave. Lap means in a continuous manner, like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like for example, if we play a video game of race, basically the car race. So in the car race, you have to cover, you have to complete first lap, then to second lap, then third lap, then fourth lap, then fifth lap. So it is depend on you. How can we cover it basically? Okay. So I hope you understand how can we cover it. So that basically covers the lap one. That is basically what? That is the basically the lap winding. So lap is the continuous manner, wave is the positive, negative, just like this. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. So both we have. So lap is the continuous manner, wave is the this like. Now how we can classify lap and wave windings classified into two armature winding. Now we having this the system that is north pole and south pole. In this we having the armature conductors. As I earlier told you, armature core we have, and that armature core we place the armature conductors. They are basically the windings, because one turn consists of two conductors. That is your stator or field. You can see stator or field. That is the armature rotor, and that are the brushes. What are they? That are the brushes, and that is the slotted thing is the commutator. Convert bidirectional current into the unidirectional current. Then we are having the output in the form of voltage we are getting. So here we are having the armature conductors. So how can we place armature is basically depend on the armature windings. That is correct. Now first is the lap winding. So are used in machine designed for low voltage and high current. Low voltage and high current. Armatures are constructed with large wire because of high current. Large wires are used in the starter motor of almost all automobiles. We are using the winding of lap bound armature are connected in parallel. That is why the current is increasing, but voltage is same, that is low. This permits the current capacity of each winding to be added and provides a high operating current. In this, the number of parallel paths means the slots. A is equals to P. Means if I am talking about the parallel path, that is A, is always equals to number of poles we have. Parallel connection we have means high current and low voltage. Limited. Okay. If I'm talking about the wave binding, it is a series connection and it is used for high voltage, low current. It is used for high voltage, low current, and we connect the windings in series. Because in series, what happens? Current remains same, but voltage changes. So we want to make current lower, but voltage is higher. So high voltage and low current. I hope you understand. When the windings are connected in series, the voltage of each winding basically adding, but the current capacity remains the same. Are used in small generator. This type of winding we use in the small generator. Okay, so for high current, low voltage, we use lap winding. For low voltage, high current, we use wave winding. So all automobile like dynamo, we used to say in every automobiles we have dynamo. That dynamo having the DC motor, DC generator of lap winding. Okay, so number of parallel paths in this always 1 and 2, 1 2 1 2, that is 2. So A is equal always equals to 2 in always in a wave band. In always which? Always in a wave band. I hope you understand. Now, now it is the armature winding. See here, we are making connection like this. So that is the lap. We are getting a complex one by one by one by one by one, right parallel. But in wave winding we are in series. 1 2 1 2, but it is we have the complex, so we can say A is equals to P. Now see, this is your armature we place like this, 1 upon 1 upon, and in this we are placing different 1 2 3 times. So that is your commutator. So lap we having the 1 upon 1 upon 1 upon means like a group, and in where we are making connection of series. I hope you understand. Now this is showing here, this is the lap winding. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 18 19. So they're making the connection like this, and we are placing the positive negative positive negative brushes, means 4 poles are there, 4 poles 4 brushes, it makes like this, the parallel connections. So like this we are getting A is equals to B, that is A is number of brushes is equals to number of poles. So 4 poles means 4 brushes, and always A is equals to 4 if we having 4 poles. Otherwise, A is equals to B is equals to B. Brushes equals to poles. How many brushes we have and how many poles we have. I hope you understand. Similar to that, wave is like this. We are making positive positive and negative negative. Now they are in the series connections. But in series we are having two, one and two. So we having first and then second part. So first, second at series. I hope you understand about lap and wave. So this is the connection we are having again 4 poles, 4 brushes, but here we are having the 1 and 2. So always parallel path is equals to. Okay. So this is all about this lecture. Now there multiple choice question related to this, because we are ending the unit number 3, and later on we'll start the unit number 4. Now where is field winding mounted in a DC machine? Always on a stator. Field winding. What are the material used for brushes in DC machines? Carbon. Function of yoke is to provide the return path for magnetic flux. Which of the following part is used in construction of DC machine but not in AC machine? Commutator, because AC we always use bidirectional current. The armature of DC motor is laminated to reduce eddy current losses. The commutator segments are connected to armature connector by means of copper lux. I already told you, like this, copper lux. The material for commutator brushes generally we use carbon. The insulating material used for the commutator segment is generally insulating varnish. In a DC machine, the current rating and voltage rating of a wave winding is, current rating is lower, voltage rating is higher, though low and high. Wave windings are used in obviously high current application. So high is your answer. Now these are the references through which I took some material to deliver this lecture. A. Phil Garrett is a very good book. R.K. Srivastava is again a good book of serious publications, image learning. Stephen J. Checkman is again Tata McGraw-Hill edition. It's a good book. And Tata McGraw-Hill edition is also A. Phil Garrett, so it is also a very good book. And G.K. Dubey is very good book. You just go through it for drives and find it. So I hope you understand about this lecture. So thank you for my side to patience listening. I hope you understand about this lecture. It's of DC machine basics. Basically, we are completing the unit number 3 and starting the unit number 4. So later on, I'll tell you about the unit number 4. I hope you understand. Thank you for listening this. Thank you so much.